Clutter can make our homes a very stressful place, and while decluttering is great and something we should do regularly, it can only go so far. We also need to be aware of what's coming into our homes, so here are some ways to prevent clutter from ever entering our homes in the first place. Hi, my name is Shawn if we haven't met yet, and I love sharing organizing and decluttering tips and just in general ways to keep your home manageable and feeling peaceful. So many times we can fall into the trap of buying the latest and greatest items or even just making impulse purchases. I have done this many times. But after making those purchases, how often do we end up just not needing them or just burying them in the closet somewhere because we just never use them? We need to be more proactive about guarding the space in our homes. And that starts with managing what enters through our front door every single day. It is harder for our homes to get cluttered if we slow down the amount of things that enter it. Before I get into the questions you need to be asking yourself before you make a purchase, I need to make a disclaimer. Please take this advice with a grain of salt. You know your home and your family and your needs better than I ever will. Some of these questions, when you ask yourself, are going to have a very different answer than mine, and that is okay. My goal is just to challenge you to think purchases through more before you actually make them, to keep clutter at a minimum in your home. So with that being said, let's get into the questions, and after I walk through these briefly, I'm going to share 5 actual items that I was interested in purchasing and how these questions actually impacted whether I made the purchase or not. Question number 1, how often am I actually going to use this item? This is a question I have been asking myself so much lately. This is the number 1 question that I actually will use. And usually this question will make or break the purchase. If I'm purchasing clothing, I need to be able to wear it for at least a season, fall season, winter season, etc. But preferably at least 6 months. Especially here in Western New York, we get all of the temperatures, we get all the different kinds of weather. I need all of my items to be extra versatile so I get the most out of them without having a massive wardrobe. If it's an item for my kitchen, I need to be able to use it as often as possible. I do not have a lot of storage space left in my kitchen, so I know if I bring something in, I have to be aware that I'm going to have to change what is already living in my kitchen. It has to be worth it for me. Otherwise, I know my storage is going to get tighter. It's going to be harder to put things away or find things in the kitchen. So if I know I'm not going to use this often, it's not coming home. How often an item gets used is subjective, and it's okay to have a different answer or a different plan or time frame than I do. But if you struggle with clutter, the more often we are using an item, the less likely it's going to end up being clutter in our homes. Question number 2, is this something that I can use for multiple seasons? This is something that I've really been working on in our home for the 10 plus years of my decluttering journey. And this really does go hand in hand with how often an item is being used. For example, I used to have some holiday dishes. I loved how festive they were, but to find space in my kitchen for them during that particular season was challenging. And then having to store them for months on end was kind of hard. I ended up deciding to prioritize my storage space over the festiveness of the dishes. So now, because I really do love that festive feeling, when I purchase anything that lives in my kitchen for like dishes, I make sure they are either white or clear. And then I get the festive table runners. It is so easy to just change out a table runner, which takes up virtually no storage space, and then use my dishes every day or every holiday and choose to dress up in other areas because I don't have to worry about extra storage and it's still festive. So I get the best of both worlds. Being mindful about how long you get to use something for can really impact your clutter because it will really free up your storage space. Question number 3, will this improve your life? This is probably the trickiest question out of all of them because in the moment, any item can feel like it's going to improve your life. A gadget for the kitchen may look and feel as if it's going to cut your prep time for cooking dinner every night in half. A piece of decor may feel like it's going to finally bring peace to your space. A piece of clothing may promise to make you look 2 sizes smaller so you feel confident in your clothes again. It is so easy to make a case for any item in the moment that it's going to change your life for the better. I don't want to sound like a broken record in this video, but when we actually stop to really think an item through, maybe even get to try it out, maybe if it's a piece of clothing, we can put it on in the dressing room. Maybe we can feel that kitchen gadget in person, see what the quality is. Does it look like it's going to be easy to take apart or clean? And really dictate if this item is going to become clutter or not. I cannot even begin to tell you the amount of times I have given in to either ads or impulsivity and purchased items only for them to come home and not love them. They don't give in to whatever I thought they promised. And then they end up in the back of a cupboard or my closet, gathering dust, taking up space, and then every time I see them, I feel guilty for making that purchase or not liking that item until I finally decide it's time to let them go and I declutter them. Question number 4, do I already have an item like this or something that I can use in place of this? Like I said before, it is so easy to get sucked in by advertisements or recommendations about items, but we already have items in our home that can do the same thing. Like I said before, it is so easy to get sucked in by advertisements or just the flash of an item, but maybe we already have something at home that functions very similarly. For example, do I need this fancy veggie chopper when I have perfectly good knives at home? Maybe. Maybe I have mobility issues and using a knife is hard, but pushing down on a chopper is something I can do. Maybe dinner time is always crazy because we are a family on the go and I need to get dinner on the table fast. But what if maybe after purchasing it, that chopper is really difficult to clean, like to the point my dishwasher can't even get it clean easily. Maybe you dread cleaning it so much you don't even touch it anymore. It just lives in your cupboard and it's taking up space. You see it, you feel the guilt, and you go back to your knives. Because even though it's a longer process for chopping the veggies, in the long run, it saves you so much time and frustration because they're so easy to clean. This may seem far-fetched, but it happened to me. I'm just using a chopper as an example. If I had stopped and actually read reviews, I would have known ahead of time that this was not going to be something that would make my life better, my life easier, and instead it was going to end up being wasted money and clutter in my kitchen. Question number 5, do I have the space to store this? Every item in our home needs a home inside of our home. It doesn't matter if it's a piece of decor, a kitchen gadget, an article of clothing, it needs a place to live. If we purchase something and don't have a space for it, it's going to end up being clutter. Or maybe if it is something you truly love and you know you're going to enjoy, you have to be okay getting rid of something in your home to make space for this item. If this is an item that gets used infrequently or maybe just like for the holidays, we have to think about where it's going to be stored that is not going to impact our daily lives. For example, I used to collect snowmen. I still love them, but I have decreased my collection over the years. I used to have this amazing big 3-dimensional snowman. I loved him. However, he was very difficult to store. He was too big to go in any of my storage bins, and then he would sit around collecting dust, and he would be in the way when I would do my laundry every week. Having him on display for a month or 2 every year, to have him frustrate me every single week for 10 months, it ended up not being worth it, and I ended up letting him go because I did not have an appropriate home for him. And lastly, question number 6. Why am I buying this item? Am I buying it because it's a need? Is it a want? Or is it nostalgic? By identifying the reason why we're making a purchase, we can potentially figure out if it's going to be clutter or not. If it's a need, maybe we've been researching it for a while. We know that we want this. Go ahead and make the purchase. It's probably not going to be clutter. If it's a want, can we walk away for 24, maybe 48 hours and really think about the impact it's going to have on our lives, whether we purchase it or not? By waiting, we might just realize we were just going to make that purchase impulsively and realize we really don't need this, and we can walk away from the purchase altogether. Nostalgia is definitely the one that I struggle with the most. If I find an item that reminds me of a happy childhood memory, or it goes with one of the many fandoms that I follow, it is really easy for me to make that purchase without even thinking about it. Ask my husband. We were grocery shopping before Halloween, and I found a stuffed bat that I ended up buying. It's my favorite color. It had sparkly wings, and it reminds me of one of my nicknames that I had a few years ago, Fruit Bat. Long story. I saw it. It went in the cart. I brought it home. Do I need it? No. Do I love it? Absolutely. Could I have lived without it? Yes. And what is it doing in my home now, you may ask? Well, now that the Christmas decoration's up, it has given up its spot on my couch where I would snuggle with it every day. And it is now living in my office on a flat surface because I do not have space for it. And I refuse to give up any of my other stuffed animals in my bin in my office because I am a sucker for stuffed animals. So right now, my bat is Clutter. I need to figure that out, soon. Hold me accountable for that. Could she still live up here? Yeah, but we have a reindeer that has taken her spot now. So maybe after Christmas, she'll come back out once the reindeer gets put away. I'm in my 40s and I still have a stuffed animal problem. I'm very aware of it. All right, now that we've walked through the questions, here are 5 things I've wanted to purchase in the last month or two, and how after asking myself these questions, I have decided whether or not to purchase these items. Item number 1, a veggie tray. I used to have one of the round section veggie trays with a section for the dip in the middle of it, and I rarely used them. They were big, they were bulky, they were hard to dig out of my cupboards because they were big and bulky. It was not an easy spot to store them. So I got rid of them and I didn't think twice of it. But now I really wish that I had one, especially because I found smaller, less bulky versions. So time to ask myself the questions. How often would I actually use a veggie tray? Actually, pretty often. We do veggie trays for dinner often because some of us like certain veggies and not others. Some of us have sensitivities to various foods. So a veggie tray is a really easy way to get veggies into my family and make it easy for everybody to find something that they love. And as we are usually the ones who bring a veggie tray to functions when we have get-togethers, it would make transporting kind of fun and easy. We keep the veggies separate, so those who don't like their veggies touching or their food touching could have their veggies be separated. Would it last multiple seasons? Yeah, I don't see why it wouldn't, be used often. I could use it all around the year, and any holiday, I would make sure I would get like a white one or something that could work for any holiday. So yeah, it would totally work for multiple seasons. Why am I buying it? It's a want. Do I really need it? No, but I feel like it would make my life a little bit easier. Or at least cuter. Do I have the space to store it? As long as it's not as bulky as the other ones, and I would measure just to make sure, I definitely would be willing to make space in my kitchen for it. Will this improve my life? Maybe. I think there's certain areas that it would. Do I have something like this or that I can use in place of it? I don't like this question. Right now, I either use like my 7x11 or my 9x13 platters. They have lids. I can adjust the size of them depending on how many veggies we're preparing or how big of a function we're doing. So it's easy to transport. It's easy to throw back into the fridge for later if we don't finish all the veggies for dinner. That way we have veggies for snacking on for like lunch the following day or just throughout the week. They work beautifully. And the more I thought about it, one thing that I forgot I didn't like about the veggie trays that I had before was that it had 6 sections. I didn't always have 6 different vegetables I would prepare. And I wouldn't need enough veggies that I would fill up extra sections of. And leaving certain sections blank would bother me. So do I really need a veggie tray when I have something that is working so well that I already have storage space for in my home and I don't have to make room for something else? No, I really don't. I could see this becoming clutter in my kitchen really quickly. So for now, it's going to be a no. And I'm actually feeling really okay about it. Item number 2, Plaid pillow covers. One thing I love to do when I'm decorating for the holidays is actually decorating for the seasons. I love doing this with pillow covers. It's a really easy way to bring in pops of color for the season or the holiday, and they don't take up a lot of storage space. So for the spring and summer, I have these soft blue denim covers. For the fall, I have burnt orange ones. For Christmas and winter, I have red and white plaid pillow covers. Now, I did have some white pillow covers for the winter, but unfortunately, when I washed them to put them away at the end of the season last year, one got a mysterious stain and the other one got a hole in it, so I had to throw them out. So this year, I didn't have enough pillow covers. So do I buy more? Do I not buy more? I asked myself the questions. How often am I going to use these? Daily? For about 3 months of the year. Would they last multiple seasons? The ones that I've had for about 3 years are washing and drying beautifully. They're holding up to daily wear and tear. So yeah, I think they would last for many years. Seasons? No. So I'm going to say this was a yes-ish. Why am I buying them? Definitely a want, but I really love how they don't take up a lot of storage space and they really make areas of my home feel more festive without adding clutter to my life. Do I have room to store it? Absolutely. I already know that there's room in my Christmas storage bins for them. Will this improve my life? Yeah, I think so, especially because I no longer had pillow covers for one area of my living room, and without the pillow covers, it just doesn't feel festive down there. So yeah, I feel like the joy that would bring would improve my life. Do you have something like this or that you can use in place of it? I didn't have festive pillow covers, but I did have my blue denim ones that I could pull out and put on as well. So yeah, I kind of did have something that I could use instead. So as you can see, I voted them a non-clutter item and I made the purchase, and better yet, they were on sale, so I even saved money while doing it. Item number 3, Christmas ugly sweater. We don't really do ugly sweaters in our family, so we've never really felt the need to get them. However, last year I found one that I loved. It was part of a fandom I have loved my entire life. It was in colors that match my wardrobe, so I knew I would wear them. And it was out of stock everywhere, and I was devastated. Well, not only did they bring it back this year, but it was in stock and on sale, and I had money for it. But before I made the purchase, I ran it through my questions. Would it last multiple seasons? Hopefully it would last multiple years, but multiple seasons of the year? No, it definitely wouldn't. Why am I buying it? Nostalgia for sure. It would bring a smile to my face anytime that I wore it, but it was definitely not a need. Do I have space to store it? In order to wear this item, I would have to give up one of my 33 items in my capsule wardrobe. And while during the October to December challenge, I would have room in my closet to store it. The other 9 months of the year, it would be in a closet and a box. While that works, and I do have the space for the cardboard box in the closet because I already have the box in the closet now, is that something I really want to be doing? Will this improve my life? Yes, because it would bring me so much joy and happiness every time I wore it. But I've gone this long in my life without having an ugly sweater or a shirt with this particular character from my fandom on it. I think I would be okay not having it. Do I have something like this or that I can use in place of it? No and yes. I have a pair of Christmas socks. That is the only Christmas geared item of clothing that I have in my entire wardrobe. But I don't necessarily dress for the holidays by buying holiday geared items, no matter what holiday it is. I instead just wear colors that associate with the particular holiday, just because I really like my wardrobe to be as flexible and versatile as possible, just because I don't have the space to have a big wardrobe. How often will I use this? I hate this question so much. I know myself. I would only wear this sweater during the Christmas season, so for 1 month. And during that time, I would probably wear it once a week. So it's maybe 4 or 5 times a year, depending on how much time is between Thanksgiving and Christmas. And then it would just sit the rest of the year. which means it does not follow my wear for at least a full season, meaning like fall, winter, spring, summer, or at least 6 months of the year rule that I have for my wardrobe. Do I really want to buy one piece of clothing that I'm going to wear a handful of times a year? I do, but do I really? I'm sure you've guessed by now, but I passed on the purchase. I'm really sad about it, but I know it was the right decision. Item number 4, a white jar candle. I was out shopping for stocking stuffers for my kids and candles were on sale, so of course I had to stop and smell them. Let me know if you have to do that too. Like, I love candle stores and going in and smelling them. And while I was smelling them, I found a white jar candle and a smell that was so good. But because I wasn't planning on purchasing a candle for myself during this trip, I decided I had to run the purchase through the questions. How often would I use it? While it is marked as like a Christmas scent, the smell was one that I would use the entire winter long, so at least 3 months. Although here in Western New York, winter snow can last much longer than that. I probably won't light it daily, but often enough, like multiple times a week, I could totally see myself doing. On days that I'm home all day, I do love lighting a candle here and there throughout the day, just because I really do just love the little cozy ambiance it gives. And if I've done a lot of cleaning in a day, I do love to light a candle afterwards as a signal as a good job to myself. So all in all, I would definitely use this a lot. Would it last multiple seasons? It's a decent size, so I could see it lasting multiple years, at least 2 years, and I could see myself using this easily like 3, 4, 5 months a year as long as it lasted. Also, because it's a white candle, I could also just take the label off of it if I wanted to and leave it out all year as like decor because it is a neutral candle. So might even leave this out all year round. Why am I buying it? At first I'm like, this is just a want. But then I thought about it. I have this small artificial wreath that I love putting on our dining room table and having a candle in the middle. However, my jar candle from last year, I finished. I did not buy a replacement, so I put a pillar candle inside of it. And while it works, it makes me a little bit nervous, more nervous than normal, about the potential of a fire hazard. So having a jar candle in there does still pose risk for a fire, obviously, but not as much as just a pillar candle. So I knew that if I really wanted to light a candle in this wreath this year, I was probably going to need a jar candle. However, on the other hand, if I don't light a candle in there and don't even put the wreath on display, I would survive the holidays just fine. Do I have the space to store it? It's small, so if I decided I wanted to store it with the Christmas decorations, I know I could easily find room for it in a storage bin. And on the off chance I didn't, it's still small enough that it could fit in our candle drawer that we have for like emergencies and things like that. So I knew that either option, I would definitely have space for it. Would this improve my life? I said yes, just for the peace of mind that knowing that there's a less chance for a fire. But other than that, not really. It's a candle. I could live without it. Do I have something like this or that I could use in place of it? I do have one other jar candle that would work. However, it's my kitchen candle and I don't want to like not have it in my kitchen. Is that really weird? But if like at the end of the day, I'm cleaning the kitchen, I love lighting this candle in there. It's definitely a nice scent for my kitchen. I don't associate it with like Christmas or anything like that. So while it could go in the little wreath, I really don't want to take it out of my kitchen. So not really. So I ended up deciding that this was a non-clutter item and I'm loving it so far. But honestly, if I hadn't bought it, I would be okay with it as well. This one really could have gone either way. And last but not least, item number 5, an extendable duster. I am really, really bad at dusting like cobwebs or down low, like underneath furniture or by baseboards, and just cobwebs collect and just, I'm not very good at it. Well, one day I was not in the mood to clean my house, so I put on a YouTube video of a clean my home with me to just inspire me, and she was using an extendable duster, and I'm like, I need one of these stat. It looked so easy to use, and I figured, hey, if I get this, I'm going to dust all the time, and I'm not going to have cobwebs in my home. So immediately I went to a certain company that has extendable dusters with disposable refills, and I'm like, oh, maybe I'll just get one of those. However, I'm really trying to, like, especially when it comes to cleaning, use things that don't have as much waste. So using something disposable, not really with where like I align with right now at this moment or at this point in time. So I looked into options that had like washable refills, and I found a couple. One had like a lot of attachments, and I'm like, I'm never going to use all these attachments. So I found one that was really simple, and I'm like, okay, I have to save a little bit for this. This doesn't fit my budget right now, but let's run it through the questions. Should I save for this? Should I not? Is this something that's really going to improve my life enough to purchase? How often would I use this item? I would love to say weekly, but sometimes my weeks are so busy that dusting is usually the first thing to come off of my chore list. So I'd say probably a couple times, 3-4 times a month, I would use it. Hopefully, depending on the month, maybe less, potentially less. Would it last to multiple seasons? Yeah, if it was good quality enough. I mean, I don't think I would put a lot of wear and tear on it. I'd be very gentle with it. So I'm hoping that it would last multiple years, and I would use it around the year, because dust just comes out of nowhere and just keeps coming. Why am I buying it? It's definitely a want. While I do have some back issues, so bending over with like my handheld duster is challenging, and there are some areas of our home that we do need something like longer to reach, like the cobwebs. I've gone this long. We've been in our home 7 years. I've gone this long without an extendable duster. We would still survive without it. Do I have space to store it? Yes-ish. We do have a cleaning closet, and I could put it in there. However, sometimes if like our mop and our broom aren't put in properly, they will fall out on us when we open the door. And I know that if I added more things to that, the more likelihood of things falling out daily, multiple times a day potentially, grows. And that would be really, really frustrating. Will this improve my life? Yes, and that it'll make dusting easier. But no, and the fact that it could potentially make every day more stressful with a messy cleaning closet and things falling out on me. Last question, do I have anything like this or I can use in place of this? A little funny that when I was researching like options, I actually saw a reel of how to make your own dust mop. And you just take a broom handle and a rag, and you rubber band the rag to the end of the broom handle, and you leave it a little bit loose so it kind of like flops a little bit. And I'm like, oh, I have a rubber band, I have a broom, I have claws, let's try this. In fact, if you watched my movie room declutter video for my fall declutter challenge, I used it there, and it works beautifully. Absolutely wonderfully. Now, it's not fully tall enough to reach like the tallest area of our home, but honestly, there could be 100 cobwebs up there and I wouldn't know because I can't see them. So it's okay. And what I love most is because I'm already using items that I have and have homes for in my home, I'm not adding anything else that I have to find room for or potentially could clutter up my home. So I'm sure you probably guessed now that I did not purchase the extendable duster because I really am loving my rubber band dusting cloth or broom handle contraption. So all in all, just remember that our homes are just a reflection of what we value. By being mindful of what is coming in, we can keep clutter at a minimum and just make our lives so much easier and our homes more peaceful and manageable daily. I hope these tips and questions really help you try to eliminate clutter before it ever enters your home. Let me know in the comments your favorite takeaway from the video, and I will talk to you later. Bye.